What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. This is going to be my review of John Wick Chapter 4. So I got to see John Wick 4 twice now. I seen it on the premiere on the opening night in London at the IMAX, which was a really cool experience. Just so many people in the crowd were really excited, and it was... when anything happened, the crowd was cheering, and there's certain things that happened throughout this movie that really got the crowd cheering and clapping, especially at certain points towards the end. And it was just a really good, it was just so much fun being in the premiere at the IMAX. It was completely packed, and it was just a really good thing to see and be in there with all these people enjoying an action movie like this. And this is, I've got to say, and I'm not even exaggerating, this has got to be one of my most favourite action movies, I think, ever. The only other film I feel like I can compare it to, there is so many amazing martial art movies, and I wouldn't be able to go through all the list of the best ones. I just know I've seen so many that are up there. Like I love The Raid. The Raid's amazing. The Raid 2, they're amazing films. There's all like the Japanese movies like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and Hero. There's just so many sick martial art movies. But for me, if I was to compare this movie to anything, it would be The Matrix. And that's also got Keanu in. And I think the director of all the John Wick movies, Chad Stahelski, he actually is the choreographer in The Matrix. He definitely has a role in The Matrix for the choreography, because he's a choreographer for martial arts. And he's also the choreographer in this as well as the director. I think they have multiple stunt directors and choreographers, but the director of John Wick was part of The Matrix as well. And I love that. I love that he's now created this amazing franchise with Keanu Reeves again, and also he's got Lawrence Fishburne in. It's just the perfect kind of casting, and it's the perfect film for me for an action movie, because I've just loved The Matrix so much, and we're never really going to get that again. They tried, and it was horrendous. The Matrix Resurrections. What the hell was that? Anyway, we're never going to get The Matrix really again, are we? So the fact that Chad Stahelski has managed to create John Wick with Neo and Morpheus in the same movie, it was just, I just love that anyway. But yeah, if I was to compare this to anything, it would be The Matrix, just because it's the kind of, I think because it's Keanu. Keanu's in it, and it's the kind of same hand-to-hand combat. You know, they're doing all these different maneuvers, and it just feels kind of like The Matrix fight. And The Matrix was a little bit more Japanese, I would say, and a little bit more like, you know, the floating around. It's not as realistic and grounded as John Wick. And that's where I sort of come to these crossroads with this, because I don't know if this is better or not. I can't tell whether I think John Wick's a better action movie than The Matrix. It is in a certain way, because in The Matrix they have so many different interesting scenes going on, like the motorway scene in the second one, and all these big fights with Agent Smith where there's hundreds of them, and just every single fight scene in The Matrix was amazing. But this one's just constant, and it feels realistic to a certain point. Like, you've got to suspend your disbelief in these movies, because John Wick would have died ages ago, but obviously he's like a superhero. He can't die. He's just this superhero that's just unstoppable. And that's what I also love, is that even though the film's trying to be grounded and realistic, they also are, you know, it's obviously unbelievable, because they're running around with these Kevlar tuxedos, and they're just covering up their head, and somehow John Wick's still managing to kill like thousands of people on screen at all times. It's obviously not believable, but I like that they've kept it grounded and tried to make it feel as realistic as it possibly could. And yeah, it's hard to say whether this is better or not than The Matrix. I don't know. I loved all the new characters that they included in this movie. It kind of felt like a comic book that's been adapted into a movie, just because of how, like, sort of over the top some of the characters were, and just how they just had such a characteristic look about some of them, especially Killer. Killer was one of them who stood out to me. I can't remember the names of all these new actors, so I'm not going to pretend I do. But the guy who plays Killer did a really good job playing that character. I loved how he was. He's like the German head. He's like the head of the German table, based in Berlin, and he has the gold teeth, and he's in this big fat suit. And I really like the whole scene where he sat there with John Wick, Donnie Yen, and the other guy who's the tracker, and I forget his name. The guy who's got the dog. Anyway, they sat there playing cards, and this whole fight scene plays out. But I loved how when it goes into the nightclub, and then Killer and John Wick start having a fight. I'm not going to go into more details in case you haven't seen it yet, because I don't want to spoil anything, but this whole fight scene was just so sick. And it went on and went on, and it was just... it didn't really stop for a while, and I just loved seeing Killer as this big fat guy fight John Wick and actually hold his own. It was really, really cool. I didn't expect that at all. There's so many cool moments. Bill Skarsgård as the McKee was a really cool choice, I thought. I really liked seeing Bill Skarsgård. I think he's a good actor, and it was cool to see him in this. He's got a really interesting role, and he's just a piece of shit, really, but I just liked seeing Bill Skarsgård playing this type of character. I thought he did a really, really good job. It was really sad seeing Lance Reddick in this movie because obviously he's just recently passed away. But I feel like, obviously no one knew that Lance Reddick was going to pass away, but what happens to him in this movie felt kind of poetic in a way. It just, I don't know. There's a certain thing that happens with his character that I felt like that's a pretty good ending for him, based especially on what's just happened. So I really did like that. It was quite emotional. I did feel quite sad seeing that scene play out. I'm just looking now because I forget all the names. Shamir Anderson, who plays a tracker, he was a really cool addition. I really liked him. This is the thing, I feel like these characters, and Donnie Yen as well, his character's sick. I absolutely loved his character, and what I really liked about all of these is that they kind of felt like they had a real reason and purpose for doing stuff. Donnie Yen's character, you know, he's sort of stuck in this position. He doesn't want to be an assassin anymore, but he's just been wrapped up into it, and he hasn't really got a way out. He also has a daughter that's being threatened, and he has a good reason why he's going through this, but he is also good friends with John Wick, and because, you know, there's all these rules and stuff that are like put into this world of John Wick from the high table that everybody lives so closely to, I really liked how they just have to go along with it because it's either they die or they have to take a life, and it's one or the other. Like, you either have to do it and go and assassinate this person, or the high table is gonna take your life. So I really like that sort of dynamic, because a lot of these characters don't necessarily want to kill each other, but they don't really have a choice, and it's just the way the rules are, so they just go ahead with it. And I just like that sort of mutual sort of understanding with each other. They're friends. They're gonna have to kill each other. They don't want to, but they're just doing it anyway because, like, fuck it. Like, there's no other option. I could walk away, but I'm gonna get killed, or my daughter's gonna get killed, or someone I know who I love is gonna get killed. So fuck it, I'm gonna kill you, mate. And yeah, before I forget, Shamir Anderson was a really cool addition. I liked his dog. I liked how he fights. He's a pretty cool fighter. He does some really interesting stuff. It was a nice little contrast between the different characters and relationships and motives between people. Just Keanu Reeves, Shamir Anderson, and Donnie Yen together, I thought really, really worked. And yeah, I just hope we see more from them. There's also a new character called Akira, who is played by Rina Sawayama. I have to look because I just don't know the names. But anyway, she's a really cool character. She's sick at fighting, got a really good role in this film. But I also enjoyed her even more because my housemate, he cuts famous people's hair, and he's friends with her, and he cuts her hair. So he told me before going in, watch out for her, and she was a standout character. And she's really, really good. So it was just cool to see her. I don't know her, but it was just cool to know that my housemate, my best mate, is good friends with her. And she just nailed it. It was really, really good character. And I think we're going to definitely see more from her. Now, I have to go into some of these fight scenes. They are, honest to God, they are so unique and so well done in these amazing places. The environments and the set design and just everything that they've done to create these environments were just on another level. The beginning of the film, there's a big fight scene with Akira and John Wick, who are fighting all these people that have come to Akira's father's hotel. That's an amazing fight scene, and I love the bit where John Wick, I've got the nunchucks, and he's fighting all these people. Amazing scene. Then we get the next fight scene, which is in this Berlin club, which is run by Killer. That was an amazing fight scene. If that's a real nightclub, then one, I don't know why I've never been there, and two, I don't know why I've never played there. If it's a real club, I'm getting my agent on that, because I need to play in that place. It's so sick. Then there's an amazing fight scene with loads of cars in Paris at the Arc de Triomphe. I had to look at the name of that, because I just don't know the name of it. But anyway, there's a huge fight scene around there, and I don't know if... It's just so mind-blowing how they've done that. Because people are getting hit by cars all over the place, and they're flipping. And as they're flipping, John Wick's shooting them in the sky and then kicking shit out of everyone. And they're just managing to dodge cars. I know obviously a lot of it will be CGI, but they'll definitely have cars hitting people. It will be a proper stunt. It's just really, really impressive how they've done that. Then they move to, which was my favorite thing in the whole movie, was they go into this house, this building, and John Wick is shooting this gun which has got bullets called the Dragon's Breath. If you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm on about. This was amazing. It's literally like one long shot, and the camera starts from John Wick and it pans right round and it goes right to above the environment, like all this building and all these different rooms, and the camera like looks down, so it's like a bird's eye view, and it's just looking at this huge one-shot fight scene playing out whilst John Wick has this Dragon's Breath ammunition and this shotgun. And that's all I'll say. It is one of the best action scenes I've ever seen. If you've seen it, you know what I'm on about. I was sat there in my seat thinking, how is this getting better? This is one of the best things I've seen in a movie, in an action movie. And we've already had so many of the best things I've seen in an action movie up to this point. What's going to happen now? It's honestly one of the best things I've seen in cinema ever. And then they move to the stairway where they start fighting in Paris. I don't know the name of this stairway. Again, I'm shite with landmarks and historical stuff. But anyway, they're fighting on this huge staircase. It goes on forever, and it's such a sick scene. But when John Wick gets to the top, something happens that made me laugh my head off, and then the fight scene just continues for even more time. I just was like, I can't believe this is still going. And how Keanu plays this role of being absolutely exhausted, but he's just still managing to just be solid. I just really like that. I find it funny, and it's really cool that they didn't just make him constantly have full energy, and he's just always got the stamina. He seems like he's tired whilst he's doing it, but he's still managing to kick the shit out of every single person ever made. And then the film comes to an end with this amazing ending. It's like a western, and what happens at the end, I genuinely was sort of surprised by. I just didn't expect what happens at the end, and it was an amazing ending. Such a perfect ending for this film. I absolutely loved it. I think this film is incredible. I don't remember an action movie as good as this. You all need to go see it. Just go to the cinema and see it. Go to IMAX, because the sound and everything in IMAX is just... This film's made to be seen in cinemas. Like, the sound of the opening scene of this movie, John Wick's just punching this, like... I don't know what it's called. It's just like a wooden beam with, like, rope around it. He's just punching this beam. And the sound from that in the cinema was just really impactful. It made me sit in my seat and be like, okay, it basically set up the movie in a perfect way, and it was a perfect ending. For me, this was a perfect movie. I have no issues with it. So for me, if I was to give this film a rating, I would have to give it a 10 out of 10. So that's it, guys. That's my review. I hope you enjoyed this. Please let me know down below in the comments. Have you seen this movie yet? I would love to know what you think about it. Did you enjoy it? Did you not somehow? But please let me know down in the comments below. Also, drop me a like if you enjoyed this review. And if you are new here and you want to stay updated with my videos, then please hit that subscribe button. That'd be amazing for me. Well, thank you all once again, and I'll be seeing you all on the next one.